What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Game Informer Show, a weekly podcast covering the video game industry. Join us every Thursday for a discussion of the latest gaming news, reviews, and exclusive reveals alongside Game Informer staff and special guests from around the industry. I'm your host today, Alex Van Aken, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Marcus Stewart. How you doing?
Sick. It turns
like in a good way? In a good way?
Both. I mean, yes to both. Like, I think I'm always sick. I could also say ill in the good way. But then the bad versions of both are also true. So if I sound a little nasally or congested, and also my voice is still recovering from being at the Royal Rumble this past weekend. So it's like this weird double thing of like, that's not related to the illness. That's just from yelling at like, oh my God. Yeah. Jade Cargill's in the Rumble. Whoa.
I won $200 during the Royal Rumble.
I probably did, Kyle.
Honestly. Just the tenor of which you're like, oh my God, Cargill's into the Rumble. It's just just imagining you yelling that, at that
There was more passion behind it.
Oh, okay.
That other voice you're hearing is Kyle Hilliard. How you doing, Kyle?
I feel as good as Marcus feels bad.
Okay, good.
So hopefully not too
I'm
good.
all right.
I feel like the better you feel, the worse I'll feel. Like we're like connected somehow.
Yeah, I'm gonna go work out later. Do some run a mile.
That'll put Marcus.
Yeah, go get some ice cream. Just put yourself in a good mood. And then I just start. My body shrinks. Like no.
Yeah, well, actually, your body hasn't shrank. Video viewers will notice you've actually enlarged. You're much larger than us.
Yeah, I can't see this, so I'm
a symptom of the sickness.
Is it like I'm spreading, like a contagion?
Ooh.
Oh, I hope not, because my Discord overlay couldn't handle that. So I hope we all say our relative sizes for this production here. We're also joined by Charles Hart. How you doing, Charles?
Hello, I'm good. I wanted to ask Alex, how did you win money? You said that casually, and then we were so focused on other stuff.
So Dan Reichert was hosting a Royal Rumble thing, and I asked if I could go, and because it was my first time, and John Carson, who was also there, was like, "You should ask Dan Reichert to come to the Royal Rumble because I think it'd be cool. It's like really good for first timers." And I was like, "Okay, let me ask." And Dan was like, "Hell yeah!" And then we did like a raffle where like it was all randomized. Since there are like 30 wrestlers or whatever that come out every 90 seconds, there were 30 balls inside of this like bingo or like, those things that they turn and the balls roll.
Yeah, like a tumbler.
A tumbler, yeah. And you reach in and get randomized balls. That's what we did. And so it was pure luck who won. And it was you could win 4 ways throughout the night. So for the men's division and women's division, each of them had most kills, most eliminations.
Whoa.
I'm not used to wrestling. So if your player had the most eliminations, you would get like $200. If your player won the Royal Rumble, you get $200, and same thing for both sides. And so I had Bailey, who won the women's Royal Rumble.
Oh, nice.
So it's a really fun way to get invested as somebody who didn't know what was going on.
Come on, Bailey.
Very quickly caught on. Get it, girl. Gonna win me my money.
She's automatically my favorite wrestler.
Yeah. So that it was a really fun night.
Nice.
And I really enjoyed it. It was Royal Rumble was cool.
It's a fun pay-per-view. It is. Dan is right. And John, is for first timers. It's either that or WrestleMania. But I feel Royal Rumble because you kind of get like a sampler of the roster because both of them have 30 people each. So it's like, 60 wrestlers total that I might not have any familiarity with.
And I was seated behind Dan. And so when new wrestlers would come through, he'd be like, no, like they're not going to win. And so whoever drew that person was like, why are you saying, don't tell me no. He's like, it's just not going to happen.
He's killing the business for you, Dan. You should know better than that. Let them dream. I mean,
but when you got a yes, like, oh, this is really good.
Oh, like they might.
Oh, yeah. Okay. My men's team though fell apart real quick. I had Jimmy Uso. I had Nakamura.
Okay.
And I had Austin TV. What was it? Austin
Theory?
Huh?
Austin Theory?
Yeah. I had them, and
not a good.
Didn't go anywhere.
great stars, but they weren't going to win.
Yeah.
I like that there's a fifth person on this podcast who still hasn't been introduced.
I know. Well, I got to do it in order.
He's waiting for his number in the Rumble.
Every 90 seconds.
Yeah. Every 90 seconds, a new person's introduced.
5 minutes, as is the case.
Yeah. We are joined, rounded out by a very special, very loved person here at Game Informer, our former associate editor, Jason Guisao. Jay, welcome back.
Hey, happy to be back. Happy to be hanging out with all of y'all. I missed this, so yeah.
Well,
thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here, man. And the reason, one of the reasons you're here today, the primary reason you're here today, is that you wrote our new cover story on Apex Legends.
Yes, sir. It's wild. Yeah, it's nuts. The last cover story I wrote was God of War, which was feels like forever ago.
Yeah, what,
right?
like 2022, 21?
Yeah, 2022. I wrote that cover story and then I left Game Informer, and so it feels like sort of like full circle a little bit, where it's like I'm back as a freelancer, but like it's still sort of exciting to be able to write about Apex, especially since when I was at GI, I feel like that's kind of all I talked about was pretty much Apex Legends.
We did call you Captain Apex.
Yeah, in our morning meetings.
Yeah, behind your back.
Sick name.
Thank you.
Well, we're glad to have you back, Jay. I guess we'll waste no more time. We'll get into our cover story discussion. You and I flew out to Vancouver, British Columbia, and we went to Respawn, their Vancouver location. Interviewed, how many people do you think, Jay? Like 8?
I want to say 8 to 10.
Yeah. We interviewed a lot of leads, a lot of directors on various parts of the service, the live service. And yeah, do you want to break down like why do we do Apex? What's going on? And then we'll kind of get into our general discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're coming up, I guess we've passed, or no, we're coming up on the 5th anniversary of Apex, and so I know it's wild.
It's like that was 5 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's weird to think about because I was an intern at GI at the time, and I remember them doing like that sort of like Beyonce surprise reveal.
So
that was So it was really exciting to sort of come back 5 years later and see what the team's working on. Usually they do anniversary updates, but this is technically the biggest one they've done yet, and a lot of them call it sort of this shift towards transparency, especially a way for newcomers and veterans to sort of be satisfied at the same time. But all this is coming with Season 20, which is supposed to come with some really interesting limited time modes, some really interesting updates to Legends, which I'm sure we'll get into shortly, as well as some smaller updates like haptic feedback for PS5 controllers, 120 hertz performance mode, which is also pretty dope. I know a lot of people have been asking about that for a couple years. But it's sort of like they're bringing a lot of these promised smaller updates in, but also sort of moving the gameplay loop, taking that next evolutionary step with the gameplay loop in a way that I think will really be exciting to pretty much players of all skill levels. So yeah.
I think that probably the biggest change to the game is the new Legend upgrade system. I'd say that really has fundamentally changed the game in a lot of ways. The Legend upgrade encompasses really 2 or 3 things. It's number one, like the name of the system, the Legend upgrades. Throughout matches in Apex now, you will be able to level up your character up to 2 times. And every time you level up, you get access to, you can choose between 2 ability modifiers. So for instance, like one of Pathfinder's is like when you knock somebody down, your grappling hook cooldown resets. For Bangalore, one of the ones I believe it's coming and confirmed is when Bangalore shoots her smoke, she can sit inside of her smoke and heal herself. And so it's almost like it's MOBA adjacent, I would say. It's not like a MOBA where like you're picking the order in which you get your abilities, but you eventually get all of them. It's like, okay, you have one of each 2 times for a total of 4 abilities per character. And these are like you played as Watson, Jay. What were Watson's upgrades?
Really interesting stuff. You can have 2 of her ultimates down at the same time, which is, I believe, an ability that she started with back when she was released in season 2. But they took out because, I mean, at the time it was pretty powerful. But they brought that back. There's this other really cool ability she has where she can sort of spawn arc grenades. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, it's like if other enemies are like firing in with their own projectiles, her ultimate will then. It's her ultimate, right? Her ultimate will spawn in.
I believe so. Yeah.
On the ground for her to pick up and throw back.
Yeah. And it's really cool. And I mean, they talked a little bit about it too, but you know, like characters like Watson, or maybe even Rampart, there are some legends that just aren't used as often. And so these sort of bite-sized skill trees are a way to sort of make them more viable in team comps and just in regular matches again. So it's kind of interesting to see how, you know, especially something like Watson, right, where she used to have that ability but was taken out. It's kind of interesting to see them bring back some of those abilities that might have made characters a little bit too strong back in the day, but sort of they've balanced it now where it's like, okay, you know, Valkyrie, she got a lot of nerfs to her movement, and they're bringing some of those movement buffs back into the game. It's kind of interesting to see a player be like, okay, like this is the Valkyrie I remember from years ago, and it's kind of interesting to sort of be able to play these sort of pre-nerf versions of the characters again, but as I said, balanced and whatnot for the new season. So
yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff. I'm trying to think of like other characters who have some interesting stuff going on. There's so many. We didn't see all of them, but I know like Gibraltar, Gibby. One of his abilities is he could choose between having a larger shield, a larger dome force field when he throws it down, or having a smaller one that the cooldown is quicker on and lasts a little longer, I believe. And so it's a lot of those kind of modifiers. It's like you're really like, what kind of play style do you want? Are you playing as Lifeline and you know, you really want to kind of stay back behind the enemy, behind the line of combat, right? You can use one of her modifiers so that she can call down like a guaranteed Kraber in her care package, which is like a really powerful sniper that is normally randomized, and she can suddenly you know, unlock it like, you know, I'm going to get this, right? Eliminating the RNG. There's a lot of these at play. We mentioned Valkyrie. Yeah, like she can choose between having more air handling and like higher jetpack height, and her ultimate is like this jetpack that enemy or teammates can latch onto and like escape together, like kind of rocket out of the area and relocate. Like Jay was talking about, it used to be really powerful and really tall. You go really high up and you could go farther. Like you just have more, you could get up over mountains, that kind of thing. It was nerfed. In this new Apex Legends upgrade, you can choose between that, or you can choose between air handling or more jet fuel so you can use your jetpack longer, or you can choose she's got like these rockets, these quad rockets that she shoots at people that kind of like scatter in front of her. You can change the effect, the radius of that to make it larger. There's a lot of cool stuff with the legends, and it's all tied into this new legend upgrade system. That's one part of it. So as you also level up, and you level up by doing class action. So like if you're a scout, by plugging into a tower and, you know, scouting the area to help your team. If you're a support class, you get points for opening up these special, they're in the game already, but like supports have access to these support bins that give you more specialized materials and smart loot. Like the assault bins do that as well, which the assault class can do that. So like there's been these long-standing classes, and those have kind of been reworked throughout Apex's history, and I've been in a really good spot recently. And so they're kind of giving more motivation to participate in those activities. And so as you do that kind of stuff, as you get more kills, as you revive teammates, if you take down a team that outranks you or has better armor than you, rather, you get like more points, and all of it feeds into your legend level. And so when you hit level 1, when you level up for the first time, you could choose that one ability, and then your shield also goes up. So a big change is there are no more randomized shields on the ground. Shields have been removed from the ground loot, which is a pretty big deal to the game.
I was gonna say that even as someone who doesn't play really a lot of Apex, I'm like, that sounds like significant.
Like when you would land, I need armor, there's a blue shield here, a purple shield. And
they got purple?
the reason they are taking that out is because they want to eliminate that feeling of, this is an example of things that affect both beginner players and veteran players, how sometimes the randomization of Battle Royale makes it unfair and like removes part of the fun. Like when everyone first lands, when the match starts, you happen to get a blue shield. I don't. You get a better weapon than me. I do, but you're outranking in the shields. You have this instant advantage that feels very unfair at the beginning of the match. And that is frustrating for both, again, all players. And so they're like, we're taking armor off the ground, and it is now tied to your legend level, your legend upgrades. And so as you complete those actions and get points throughout the match, killing people, surviving, whatever, there's several modifiers and things that trigger these points, but you are also leveling up your shield. And so there are things called shield cores that you can pick up. Like one of the like more competitive strats that if you've played Apex long enough, you know about is shield swapping, where in the middle of a fight, you might lose your shield. And rather than healing yourself mid-fight, which can take a while, you find a nearby death box from somebody, maybe you killed somebody recently, and you swap to their shield. And so suddenly you have full shields. And so while that is no longer a mechanic, there is, in the same spirit of that mechanic, there are these shield cores. And I know this is all very inside baseball, but it really all culminates in a game that feels very streamlined, very clean, very easy to understand. And that allows not only new players to get in, but also it kind of has everybody getting into the action more, because you are less worried about, okay, I don't have to find a shield, I just need to find a gun. One of the other things that is part of one of the other things that they're shaking up. And Jay, have I missed anything? I was going to get to crafting next.
No, yeah, you can absolutely. No, you've been. It's great. It's perfect. Yeah, let's talk crafting.
Okay, so one of the things that was introduced, I forget which season it was introduced in.
Hey, real quick, just to like sort of step back, when is all this stuff coming to Apex? Like, what is like the
in like a week?
Okay, so it's pretty soon, right? Like, you guys got early looks at it, and you got
early
to go
February.
hands on with it and everything.
Yep,
right.
And I think we have like the exclusive. I think we're like exclusively revealing a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to get that timeline, because that's one of those things that if folks are listening, they're probably like, "This all sounds great. I'd love to play it."
I don't know. Is it all free? I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like reimagining the game, like really taking the systems that didn't work, and Jay and I we can't talk about it today, but we did get to play as like the new legend that's coming up in a future season.
Right.
We played a new map that's coming.
Yeah.
And map changes to maps that already exist. We've seen a lot of that stuff. We've agreed to not talk about that today, but we will be talking about it in the future. Not part of this cover story, but because that's for later seasons in the game. But coming up this year, right, there's a lot of big changes to the game. Really, one of the more fascinating things, I think we're talking to Josh, and I asked, or somebody asked, like, we look at like games like Fortnite, Zero Build.
Does Josh got a title there?
Yeah, he's the lead BR.
Just the guy, Josh.
Yeah, sorry, Josh Mohan.
Hey, Josh. Yeah, Josh Mohan.
Sorry. Very, very senior dude.
Okay, that's all. Yeah,
charged to the VR team.
Yeah, we're besties, on a first name basis.
First name basis, Josh. Josh was talking to us about, or we were asking him, Fortnite's done Zero Build. Warzone has done, they've taken out the gulag previously. They aren't afraid to take away things that people consider to be fundamental to the game to change it. And so we kind of asked, like, is Apex planning to do that? And like this first season is like the first step in that. They said it won't stop here, and that they are like they found like a lot of inspiration in their competitors doing that. And they said like they are really starting to explore explore what that looks like for Apex, and this legend upgrade system, removing armor from the ground. Another thing they're not really taking out, but changing it. Well, they are taking out the crafting system, so the crafting materials that you find on the map. Right now, if you load into Apex, you can buy, like, there's these crafting machines around the map, and you can buy, you can collect materials around the map and cash them in for shields, health, ammo,
right.
Sometimes weapons, backpacks. It kind of, there's like a rotating, and they found that, like, that has a really complicated system for a lot of players, not just new players, and it's just kind of like takes away from, like, the action of Apex. And they found, like, when they were coming into season 20, they were like making all these changes to the system, and they were trying to make, like, well, what if crafting did this, or you could do this with crafting, and they were like, we were just kind of like trying to justify a way to keep this system in the game just because it was previously here, and we realized that it shouldn't be here anymore. And so now there are still crafting stations, but it is a one-time, every character can use it once. And it's like instant, instead of like going and collecting these materials, cashing them in and like waiting for this long timer to finish to get your item. You open it up, you can choose between a shield, medkit, ammo, or like respawn.
Right,
respawn
like
tags.
primarily like healing and ammo. Ammo items,
like, and there aren't any other items in it anymore. You don't have to like cash in. You just like you get to pick one free thing. And they're like, that's like they're really trying to focus on bringing the game back to the firefights and getting into the action quicker, and just getting to what makes Apex fun, rather than like these bloated systems that kind of like obfuscate, the game, the fun parts of the game.
Yeah. And I mean, and just to that point, it kind of still goes back to this level of transparency. It's really funny. Like, a lot of the designers would immediately come back to this sort of transparency. I guess this was like the sort of philosophy, the word philosophy that they've been using for this season. And it's sort of, it's supposed to make the game more approachable, especially for newcomers. Like 5 years in, I can't even imagine what it must be like for someone to boot up Apex for the very first time right now and see that there's a billion things on the ground. They don't know what to do. And it might sort of turn them off. And so, taking shields off the ground, now it's already on you. You don't even really have to think about it. Taking material currency that you need to cash in, taking that off the ground as well. So now all you have to do is just walk right up to a crafter and just click a button and you have the thing already. Making it, like AVA said, just more streamlined, making it more combat focused, especially because I think a lot of new players are afraid of sort of engaging in combat. And so just making that the focus of the game so that new players can get better, and then veteran players who sort of complain about early game moments where it's like, I'm just running around and I can't find enemies to shoot at. Like, what do I do? Sort of trimming all the fat of that stuff and making sure that people are getting in and out of the action as soon as possible. It's really, I think, the bread and butter of Apex. It's the combat has always been and gun feel and movement have always been the most important factors of Apex. And so finally it feels like sort of a return to form with all of those things being emphasized with season 20. So
yeah. There's a lot,
Jake, guys, for cowards like me who play these games as I would in real life, in that I run and hide and don't engage with anyone unless I absolutely have to. Is that still a viable strategy? Can I just go? No, I'm just going to go the other way of where people are fighting.
For sure. And I think we talked a little bit with Josh again about this, AV. I think Josh mentioned that there are sort of these
Evo caches and Evo harvesters.
Evo caches, harvesters. That's it. There's sort of Evo harvesters littered throughout the map in between points of interest and stuff.
One thing to interject: these points I've been talking about that feed into like your legend upgrades and stuff. All that, it's called Evo. I forgot to mention that. And so Jay's talking about
game tournament.
Yeah.
No.
And so go ahead. What are Evo harvesters and caches?
Yeah. So Evo harvesters and caches also upgrade your Evo shields as well, and I think it applies to the entire squad.
Yeah.
And so yes, if you're a little scared to fight and you're more interested in maybe getting to the next point in the ring to hide, or even just exploring the map, there are these Evo harvesters sort of littered throughout each point of interest, each area on the map that you can just
notably
run towards.
Not at the POIs, in between them.
Exactly. Yeah. So they're really prioritizing movement. They're really prioritizing rotations and exploration. So it's like, if that's more your speed of just like, I want to get super strong and be ready for those final engagements and play it safe, you can still do that. There are things in that'll reward you for that kind of play style, the more like slow and steady tactical kind of play style. But yeah.
Yeah, we can call that tactical. I was going to say,
let's put that.
yeah, this is exactly. It's just very strategic. It's like, I would just say I'm just an opportunist. I'm like, oh, look at the good players murder each other, and then I slide in at the end and pick the bones.
Yeah. No, there's absolutely room for that. I mean, that's also part of the bread and butter. Yeah,
I mean, absolutely. I'm proud of it.
That's also the bread and butter of Apex. It's called third partying. Yeah, you just swoop in and take out the stragglers. So
we've all done it. It's all happened to us as well.
We've all done it.
It's
super frustrating when it happens to you, but there's nothing better when you do it yourself.
I respect it what happens to me. I'm like, I would have done the same thing. You know what, sir?
Yeah, good on you.
Yeah.
Picking your battles. There's a lot of like actual like new content coming as well. Those are like the big ways that really affect the main battle royale game mode. And are we missing anything else, Jay, before we move on to like straight shot and stuff like that?
No, I mean, not that I can think of. Just basically that the legend upgrades are a way to.
And those are like very vast and change it up quite a lot. Yeah, those legend upgrades, like the specific abilities you can get, really do change the way the game feels, and all of it. Like when I've been playing like Apex in my free time lately, just for fun, and I'm like, man, I want to be playing the version that I played at in Vancouver, because it was so much better. And it's funny, I've heard like teammates complain. I've been playing in like public lobbies, and like I'll hear a teammate like complain about something that's changing, and I'm just thinking to myself like, dude, just like wait a week, man. But in terms of new content, Jay talked about you already talked about the performance improvements that are coming in this patch. There are new limited time modes. So there's something called straight shot. That is probably going to be like one of my favorite ways to play Apex Legends.
For sure. Yeah.
So it is a fast-paced version, a more simplified version of the main battle royale mode. And this isn't like the way they talked about it, it seems like this is going to be like a permanent separate mode. And maybe I'm putting words in their mouth, but like just the way they talk about it, the potential of this thing, like I could even see myself just playing straight shot, like, but like so let's get into what it is. It is, they have this, when they're playtesting the game, they have this internal game mode they fire up a lot, called Nitro, and it's just like an internal build that essentially allows them, it drops like multiple teams into the same spot. There's no drop ship, anything like that. And it was just like allows them to quickly iterate. They were like, we really like this mode where it's like, what is it, 10 squads instead of 20?
10 squads instead of 20, yep.
Not the entire map is not open. It's like certain parts of the map are available.
Right, like the ring is already moving. Like,
the ring is already like shrunken quite a bit. But there's half of the amount of people. And they were like, oh, this is like a really fun mode. We should like turn this into a mode for players. And there were like it took a lot of work because like obviously like that mode is like a debug mode essentially, like not ready for players to enjoy. But so they built this.
I love that story of they were just like using it to test things.
Yeah.
And they all kind of like look to each other and were like, you guys are having fun, right? Like this should be like a thing that we should just let players do, right? This is cool.
Exactly. They've been using it for years and like, this is so much fun. Yeah. Let's bring it to the players. And so the internal name of it is called Nitro. The public name for like the new mode that's coming to the game is called Straight Shot. And like I said, it's a fast-paced version, half the amount of players, smaller map. One thing that Straight Shot does as well is when you drop, instead of like being in the drop ship and like picking where you want to drop and launching and dropping there, it picks for you. and
Right.
it takes the 10 teams and pits one-on-one squad fights, like your team versus another team at a location, and it drops both teams there, and like you don't pick, you're just like, okay, looks like we're going to Market on Kings Canyon, and it's us and another squad that are here. We got to fight it out. And after that you can play the game as you normally would. It's not like you're like locked in that location or anything. Like you could drop at that location and run away. But like
essentially.
But if you want to, there will be another team there for sure, ready for you to fight.
Right.
Do you start with like more stuff?
Well, that's the thing. There are still all the weapons. You don't start with more stuff, but all of the weapons on the ground are all they already have all attachments on them. So they're already pre-assembled. You can swap out the scopes if you like a different scope, or you find like, oh, I don't really like this scope. Oh, there's a digital threat here. Let me pick that up and put it on my gun. But like all the other attachments are already pre-made. There is still that rarity. Like you might have like a blue-tiered weapon, or a purple or a gold weapon. Right. And all of those attachments will be, that level. And so it's very quickly like, okay, I found my gun. Oh, I love the R201. Let me pick that up. Oh, longbow. Okay, I'm good to go. Let's fight. And it's very much like this fast pace, like that nitro, that you can very much see why they called it nitro.
Right. That's really interesting. Like from the structure of a battle royale game, there's like the first half where you're kind of hanging out and exploring, gathering resources. And then this is just like, let's just jump to the back half. Yeah. Like when you're already in the top 50%. That's really interesting, because there's days where you're playing a bunch and it's like, I'm not getting into that back half. I'm just having an off day. So I'm just kind of running around and getting shields and stuff. And then I die again.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
I like how we're looping back to the smaller scale, like deathmatch. Which is, it's fine, but it's just funny how things are cyclical like that.
Yeah, but other than that, it still functions as a battle royale. So the storm will eventually close in. You'll eventually, you want to keep rotating and stuff, but it is much faster. And if you do die quickly, this mode in particular, it's not coming to the main battle royale mode, but they're going to see if players like it, and then maybe they'll bring it to like the main mode. But there's just like you can like instantly queue into another match and go again. Like you don't have to go back to the menu and ready back up. It's just like if you die, you can matchmake right from your death screen,
from the spectate
screen, and get right back in. And so that straight shot, I think that's going to be a very popular mode
for sure.
Jay, do you want to talk about Lockdown?
Yeah. So
that's what it's called, right? Lockdown. Yeah.
Yeah. I believe it's called Lockdown. And if I remember correctly, you could correct me, Alex. It's a mix of team deathmatch and control, like the capture the hill, like with flags and stuff. It's a mixture. It's a mixture of both of those modes, because a lot of the players really enjoyed team deathmatch and control. But when control is sort of rotated out, a lot of players sort of miss having an objective to run towards, like something to really do to keep battles like funneled in certain areas. And so they've decided, hey, let's just like mix two of our strongest modes, our most popular modes, is just put them together. And so that's also what's going to be coming. I think that's I think that's going to be pretty popular too. Yeah.
There is Stephen Ferreira, who is game director, or design director.
He's the game director.
Yeah. Design director is Evan Nikolic, who we spoke to as well with Stephen. That's why I'm confusing them. But Stephen Ferreira was saying there's actually a third mode coming later in the season, not at the launch, I believe it's called The Hunt, and it's like a special limited time mode. I don't know any details about it. But that's what that is. I don't know. Feel free to speculate. That's what it's called. And it'll be like timed up with an event of some kind. But this season's going to have a lot of sorts of events, like really celebrating the 5th anniversary. Every map, I think, almost every map is going to have like, if players have played during an anniversary in the past, they might know like the, Mirage's like party ship is like this POI on World's Edge, where you can go and like get a bunch of cool loot. There's like fireworks, all this stuff. Essentially, all of the maps are going to be decorated and have these like fun new areas celebrating. It's like going to be like party balloons and like all this stuff throughout the maps celebrating the anniversary. So like they were like, yeah, if you like the Mirage's like party ship, then like this is that to the nth degree. And so that'll be like the like map updates for this season. There is a new map for mixtape modes, which is like mixtape modes is like their lockdown is a mixtape mode. Team deathmatch, those kind of things. Those are like their kind of shuffle playlist kind of.
Exactly.
And they have like special small custom maps for that. There's a new one called Thunderdome. And what do we know about that one, Jay?
I don't, it's funny. They didn't dive too much into Thunderdome.
We know it's not the old Thunderdome POI.
Right. From Kings Canyon. So it's not,
I mean, usually it's two people enter, one leaves.
Yeah. There you go. Yep.
Sometimes basketball's involved.
I do know. I've seen footage, and people will be able to go to our YouTube channel. We did get footage come in, like B-roll. We got like a lot of B-roll that we can show off, and of that map in particular. And there's like a crowd. It's like a circular map, and there's like a crowd cheering for you. And it's like there's like little rivers and creeks and like big mountains and caves, all within like this compact map. It looks really fun. But that one's called Thunderdome. I'm trying to think what else. There's like so many changes. Oh, the name of this season is called season 20 is called Breakout. Yep. Ranked changes. This is probably the last piece that we will touch on today in the podcast. We're gonna have like a ton of videos going up. We got like tons of video interviews, gameplay, the whole 9 yards. We asked them like what's up with the Titanfall IP. And we specifically asked about Jason Schreier's report last year about a canceled single-player Apex game. All that was going to be going up. If you were listening to this podcast, it should be live already over on the website, GameInformer.com/Apex Legends. Jay also has a story behind the scenes of the Revenant rework, which a lot of players really loved 2 seasons ago, as well as why solo mode is never coming back to the game. And also where the hell are arenas? That's another game mode that people loved, me and Jay included. I think that was like our first press event we went together.
Wow. What a throwback.
It was Apex like season 9 or something, arenas?
Yeah, so it was a while ago for sure.
And that mode kind of split the player base. And so in short, they want to bring that mode back, but they want to do it in the right way. But we've got interviews on all of that over on the website. But lastly, before we wrap up this cover story conversation, do you want to talk about like the ranked changes, Jay? I know there's a lot of little minutia, but people are probably curious about it.
Yeah, sure. So there are some sort of top 5 streak modifiers. There's a new team scoring mechanic, which they didn't really delve too deeply into, but there's sort of going to be a lot of these smaller modifiers that will effectively change how you earn ranked points throughout the matches and whatnot. They're also bringing in...
For the context of people on this call, Apex's ranked community is very engaged. It is like...
For sure.
A huge part of the game. Like people play Apex competitively on all levels, and more so than like a Fortnite or a Warzone. Like Apex has like developed a very much as an esport with like the LGS and like Jay and I have both competed in tournaments, like side tournaments and stuff. Like it is there's something about the game that really draws people in and is really fun to watch. And I would say it's up there with like Overwatch and the Overwatch League. Apex is up there as well now. So these are like, you know, when I play Apex, I play ranked, right? Like, and a lot of people do that as well. So these are like pretty big changes in the way that people play the game, because the rules of ranked and like what you are rewarded for really influences how you play. And for a long time in Apex, it has been like, let's hide.
Right.
Which is not is not fun.
This is very true. Yeah.
Marcus
loves it.
It's for competitive players who want to play at a very high skill level, it is not fun.
You know how hard it is to not be seen by like a bunch of
I know hawks? It is hard. And I think listen, there's no shade, Marcus.
I think the game mode The Hunt is just 99 people and
Hunting
Marcus.
Yeah.
You just have to find Marcus wherever he might end up.
He's in a bush, no
First
weapons.
to kill Marcus wins.
Yeah. Find him if you dare. But go ahead, Jay. Please continue. I just wanted to give context.
No, yeah. No, yeah, absolutely. And just more to your point, yeah, Ranked usually receives updates pretty often, and just to sort of change those play styles. And like AVA said, usually in the past, it was a lot of hiding. And sometimes they've been trying to highlight or really emphasize, again, more fights to earn points, more team play to earn points. And then, like I said before, they do have this really cool modifier where you can have like a top 5 streak where you're constantly trying to aim to be one of the last groups alive, to be one of the strongest groups over and over again, to build that streak to gain even more points. So they're really just trying to emphasize ways for you to sort of not sit back as much and really engage and interact and hopefully continue to learn.
Yeah. The top 5 bonus, there's also the challenger bonus. It's really cool, where you get more ranked points if you defeat a higher ranked opponent in the game.
Right.
Which is a really cool bonus.
Mm-hmm. And just another thing, and I think this mainly has to do with Ranked. They're adding like more like they're bringing in more transparency with the post match results report. I can't remember the specific term
match
for it,
summary. I think
match summary. Thank you. Yeah, when you finish a game, you can sort of get this list of things broken down about, like, how you performed, what you did that maybe led to your defeat, what you did that maybe contributed to your win and whatnot. And they're really sort of tweaking that to give you more details, so you can just look at what you've done at the end of a match and learn, like, okay, maybe I should continue doing that. Maybe I should like keep getting better at this aspect of the game, or maybe there's something I should avoid. Maybe there's something I should completely throw away in my play style that's contributing to all my losses. So yeah, it's a great way to sort of educate the player and hopefully promote some kind of like player growth, or to promote certain play styles and whatnot.
And that directly is tied into your rank as well. Like, here's how many points you got for this, that kind of thing as well.
Right.
So
yeah, a lot of cool stuff coming.
Yeah. It's really like, I think this season is very much like, you aren't getting like the new legend, right? You're not getting a new map, but it is fundamentally changing the game in so many ways that it feels super fresh. And it feels like a new game in a lot of great ways.
Yeah, and you'll be technically, I guess, with legend upgrades, right? Everyone will sort of just be relearning.
Yeah, I mean, like,
legends again, right?
Yeah,
so,
it wouldn't really make sense to drop a new character because, like, yeah, you're gonna be like, oh, there's how many people on the Apex roster right now? Like 20. There's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's definitely over 20.
25, maybe.
Probably.
It's a lot.
Probably.
Have they caught up to like the Tekken roster? 32.
15, 16. No. 18, 20, 22. There's 24 right now. 24 legends in the game. Yeah, and each of those all now who have 4 new ability changes or like upgrades.
Have they ever taken away a legend, like vaulted them? They
haven't vaulted them, but that Revenant rework that we were talking about, they introduced Revenant as a completely new kind of character, and that's the first time they've done that.
Gotcha.
Because people really were not. They're like, people aren't playing this character, which means he's not fun. Let's figure out how to make him fun. And they did that. Now people love Revenant. So, yeah, it's super cool. It's a really interesting way to shake up the meta. And yeah, I cannot wait for legend upgrades to drop.
For sure. I'm really excited to see how legend upgrades affect like competitive, like on the professional level. It'll be really interesting to see, like, in ALGS, what pros are choosing as their upgrades, like what fits into their comps and everything. And then, of course, that'll sort of trickle down to all the players who love to watch their favorite pros. You'll start seeing certain wraiths with the same interesting abilities. You'll sort of be learning, okay, what's the strongest way to play these legends, and I think that's what's so interesting about it. We've had these sort of hardcore metas that have existed for literally 5 years, and now it's all potentially going to change. So yeah, it's definitely as big a shift as they've been claiming, for sure. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Super excited. Of course, once we have like solidified details on those maps and the new map and then like the new BR map and the new legend we played. That'll be later on in the year probably, like when new seasons come. But we have that information. We'll like see what's like actually been like finalized, that kind of thing, and get some stories out the door. We're definitely like not dropping the ball on that and working with PR to make sure like we can showcase that stuff when it's ready to be shown off. So overall, it was like a really fruitful trip to Respawn. Yeah. I mean, I love the game. Before I worked at Game Informer, I hosted the #1 Apex Legends podcast at the time. And this Pathfinder statue, if you're watching the video version, was the first ever like press kit thing that I was sent in my game career, like outside of like a game code, right? And it was this guy, and I was like, oh, let me review this figure. And Pathfinder is my favorite character, so so yeah, I keep this around, and it was like, oh man, I should pull Pathfinder out for this podcast, because it was like this full circle moment in my career to get to go to Respawn with Jay, who I've played tons of Apex with and talked about the game so much with him. It was a really fun cover story.
For sure, yeah. It was sort of like a passion project, I think.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Jay, I know you got to go, but where can people follow you, find your work? What are you
Sure. So you can follow me on the Hellscape Twitter at Jason_Guisao. And you can also go, I guess, to my personal website, jayguisao.com, where I have like a lot of my writing. Some of my writing from GI is on there as well. So yeah, you can definitely check me out there.
Hell yeah. And are you currently a free agent for work?
Yes, I'm currently a free agent looking for more writing, narrative design, and editorial opportunities. So yeah, please reach out if you have any of those, or you need someone who's super passionate about games and writing in general. Yeah, I'm your guy.
Also, he's a game developer too. He's put out several games as well. Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Well, Jay, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
See you hopefully soon.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Jay.
I'll definitely be in touch. Thank you guys. Appreciate y'all.
Later, dude.
Jay.
And we are back. Thanks for sticking with us. We've got a packed rest of the show.
Hold on, Alex.
here.
Can I issue a mid-episode correction?
Yes, please.
You guys talked about Thunderdome.
Yeah.
And Marcus made a Mad Max joke.
Yeah.
Right? And then I said sometimes basketball is involved.
Yeah.
And you all politely chuckled. I was totally getting Mad Max confused with Escape from LA. There's the scene where Kurt Russell has to like play basketball to survive inside a cage.
Right. Yeah.
But Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome is a very different sport.
Yeah, I was confused, but I was
okay. So I just wanted to correct that.
I wasn't trying to throw you under the bus, you know.
I'm sorry, everybody. I apologize. Leave me a comment in the comment section.
Yeah.
My polite chuckle was, I don't know what any of you are talking about. If that makes you feel any better.
I do that a lot, Charles.
I was just like, yeah, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm too polite to
basketball.
just ask, what are you referencing?
Well, the amount of references we throw out on this show,
Yeah.
you can't do that, you know?
Yeah.
And see, Kyle, this is what we get for being old.
Yeah, well, you know.
Yeah.
Charles, that's what Charles is here to remind us
A
about
whole
every
4
day.
years older than me.
I'm
Our
just
mortality.
the local spring chicken.
Yeah. Well, let's get this egg, shall we, Charles? The spring chicken egg. Let's get this bread. I don't know. Let's talk about video games. We're going to be talking about, after that Apex story, we got a lot still to talk about. We're going to be talking about Suicide Squad. We're going to be talking about a wrestling.
WWE 2K24 is the name of the game, Alex.
A wrestling game.
You know, for all of our, like, you know, Alex, you and me are kind of on the same page of like, I don't really know wrestling. Like, we should know the title. It's the same title every year.
They literally just changed the last number.
I know. Well, I know WWE 2K24. Cody Rhodes is on the cover. I know these things. All right.
Okay.
I was memeing.
You saw him win the Rumble.
Yeah, I watched. I'm a fan now. Cody Rhodes fan.
You were paid to be a fan.
Yeah, I was a paid actor, $200 for 6 hours of labor, I guess. Persona 3 Reload, and we're gonna also be talking about Mario vs. Donkey Kong. We're gonna lead in with Suicide Squad. Marcus, Kyle, you two have been playing the game. I'm envious, I think.
I think.
I want to.
Important qualifier.
I've said on this podcast I want to play that video game, but I've also seen like there's been like some launch issues going on with like the early access stuff. But you two have access now. You've been playing it. You received codes from PR. What do you think? What's this game?
Who should start here, Kyle?
Well, okay. It's funny. Marcus and I did find out we stopped at the exact same spot.
Oh, okay.
Which would you say an hour and a half? Maybe,
At least an hour and a half. We're not playing together.
Yeah.
To make that clear, we're playing just single player so far.
Yeah. So grain of salt, right? Hour and a half. That's all we've played.
Yeah.
Marcus, you seemed eager to share your thoughts. So I'm curious. Let's get those hot takes.
I don't want to phrase this. It's underwhelming. Disappointing? Is that the word I want to use? I will say the beginning of this game is awful. I think the way
really, I think I'm already maybe going against you a little bit. Awful, huh? Okay.
I think they started in media res, basically, where you're kind of like you're what seems
I
to be
to that
late in the
reference.
Story.
I know what media res is. Sorry.
Yeah, I understand literary. Yeah. Like it starts out, without getting too specific, like, okay, this seems like a late point in the story, and it basically is a tutorial where you take turns going through each of the heroes as you're fighting through waves of enemies, and it's just to me, it's a very flat way to start the game because it throws you in without any context, and I get that's what a media res is, but I feel like there's been so many examples of that done better, where it's like there was a moment where I legit thought I had accidentally selected a tutorial option without realizing it, because it's that just like if inform it's like, oh boom, you're on some floating islands and it's like, hey, this is how you shoot and this is how you jump, and you're like, well, okay, this is, I kind of expected a more like cinematic opening to this game coming off of the Arkham stuff, you know what I mean, like a big cutscene or something like that. So
you
it's
think
like,
about the intro to Arkham Asylum, it's like one of the best to ever do it,
yeah. So I was just like, oh, okay, they start you with Deadshot, who I'm playing as actually the entire time so far, and it just, from like the structure of it, of like it's like basic tutorial stuff to combine with the really bland music and just the uninteresting level design stuff, it was just like, this is not the I don't know if this is a great way to put your best foot forward with this game that already has like a lot of doubt, and it's even more kind of like an odd choice, because after you do that, you do get the big cutscene, and it's like, I honestly think you should have just started with that, because this is infinitely more interesting than this kind of like loading you up front with like, all right, here's some like really basic like arena-esque shooting that you have to do 4 times, and it feels like it takes forever. And the shooting itself is like fine, but it's not blowing me away, I think that's kind of my big thing with this game so far, is that it's just like fine. But I think coming good. No, go ahead, Kyle.
No, I'm not trying to cut you off at all. I'm coming. I totally hear you on all this, but I think I was just coming at it from a more almost analytical perspective of like that whole opening sequence where you play as the 4 characters. I almost read that was the same to me as changing the settings before I started the game. That was like me going to invert Y and make sure subtitles are turned on,
Yeah.
So like I didn't mind it so much, because then when it starts proper, I think it's a fun introduction to the characters. I think it's a fun sequence. I like the characters and everything like that. But I totally hear you that it's like this. We're starting here. We're just like dropped in, right? And then once I got into the sort of the open world, I was kind of like, yeah, we totally could have just started with that cutscene. Like this could have been my first gameplay interaction. I would have been okay with that.
Yeah, especially because the open world, like the Metropolis proper, is way more interesting than whatever that, like, you're like in this weird like void or whatever it was. Yeah.
The one thing the void gave me, which is like maybe the most positive thing I have to say about it, I'm definitely coming in a little stronger than you, Marcus. I'm hooked in a little bit more, I think, than you are by this first hour and a half. Maybe, I don't know, I'm trying to like read your facial expression, but that void, which is a bunch of like floating structures in the sky, shows off what I think the game does well, which is like movement. The shooting is okay. The movement I like quite a bit. Like they all have sort of distinct ways of moving around. Like the King Shark can like just jump really far and jump really high. Captain Boomerang can teleport everywhere, which is who I ended up playing as, just because he had the weirdest set of abilities that were kind of hard to nail down, and I wanted to keep like practicing with him. And he is also quickly like the sort of character I find the funniest because he is a loser. Is like
he's definitely the most
loser.
Entertaining of the four so far.
But he's so confident. He is like that archetype of confident loser that is quite funny. And the performance is really fun and energetic, and that accent is great. So like aesthetically, there are things that are clicking with me that I like. But then, and this is where I think we're starting to align, Marcus. When it becomes a wave-based shooter, kind of like, this isn't what I wanted from Rocksteady, man. You know, like I'm seeing Arkham characters, you know, the I can't remember the character's name who has the hook for a hand, who's like in all the Arkham games. You start in Arkham Asylum, you see the
the Arkham music, like that's like the first thing you hear in that cutscene. It just takes you back, like, oh yeah, this is giving me so many warm fuzzy memories.
And there's like, you see the force fields from Arkham Asylum, like in the background of the opening cutscenes and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, I love this world. I want to be in this world. And I just don't know if this is the avenue by which I want to be here. Right.
Yeah. It's like, to go to your point about the traversal, I'm with you in that it's what I like most about it, how forgiving it is. Like they really want you to stay airborne as much as possible. Like there's so many, like, oh, you can do like so I'm playing with Deadshot, who has a jetpack, right? And they're like, hey, you can boost, but you know, you can basically like reload your boost in midair because it's like you have a finite bar. But it's like, oh yeah, if you hit L1, you'll basically just reload it and then you just keep going. And then even then, if you get up against like a vertical surface, you can kind of like it's not even like a wall run technically, like running up the wall. It's kind of just like, I don't know, you just boost and he just kind of clings to it and he just ascends, and every character has like a version of that basically. I think what I don't like about it so far, I'm still getting used to it too. So keep that in mind. Again, first hour and a half, still getting used to the mechanics. It feels a little too flaily and kind of chaotic, where I feel like I lose control more often than not. Like, okay, like I don't feel graceful, like okay, I'm aiming for that rooftop, I'm gonna fly there, and then I kind of land in a way that is like, either like, okay, I almost nailed it, it's like I'm here, so who cares? But there's something about like the transition from like flailing around in the air, then landing, and then you can also do like a slide that he teaches. Like if you slide when you land, you boost, you can, like, if you jump off your slide, you'll get a boost for your next like traversal ability or something like that. And from the times I've tried it, it doesn't chain together quite as well as I think they're going for. But again, I have to keep messing with it to see like if it's just a me thing. But I have been messing with it a lot, because this game for the first, like, I mean, I guess up to the point that we stopped, they're still very much like making you do the same thing over and over with like a weird checklist of like, okay, do that thing we showed you before, but like 3 times. Okay, like, you know, the checkbook. Then I was like, I already know how to do this. You still don't think I know how to do this?
I do wonder if given time, the chaining of those abilities will feel more comfortable.
I hope so.
Like my optimistic perspective is like, even though you are flailing a little bit and you're just kind of making it to your destination sort of almost by accident, it feels like sometimes, it's like, I bet with time, if I focus on Captain Boomerang's warp ability here, I bet I could do some really cool stuff. I need
the weirdest one too.
Yeah,
I feel like his is the trickiest to wrap your head around, because it's like you're throwing the boomerang and then you basically teleport to it. Yeah. But then you can kind of like do shorter bursts of that to traverse longer gaps.
And I've started using that in combat as well now, where I'm using it to dodge. Because you can click the left thumbstick to dodge, but if on Captain Boomerang, if you tap L1, he'll zip around like at high speed. And so like I'm sort of starting to get that momentum of like, this could have some cool rhythms to it. I don't have them yet though. I'm not there as a player.
Yeah, I'm getting like with Deadshot, I like, you know, with his jetpack you can hover in the air and just sort of pick people off on the ground. Like I like having that option to be like, oh, I'm just gonna fly away from this crowd and just like throw a grenade below and blow a bunch of people up. I think Harley's is probably like, because Harley swings basically, like she has like the Batron she can swing off of. And all I could think of as I was doing that was like, man, I bet Rocksteady wishes this didn't come out after Spider-Man. This is like the best swinging mechanics in video games. And then this one is just kind of like,
Fun fact.
It gets you there, I guess. Yeah, it's fine. It's not like awful, but it's like, it is, again, kind of like janky, a little like flaily, I guess. Like it's not as tight, it's not like or as polished as like the swinging at Spider-Man. Charles, were you gonna ask?
I was gonna say, fun fact, all 3 Spider-Man games came out between Arkham Knight and Suicide Squad.
Oh my god, you're totally right.
Yeah, that's a good point. But yeah, what I'm enjoying most so far about the game is like, it's kind of what Rocksteady does best. Like, I like the performances so far. You know, Deborah Wilson as Amanda Waller, A+ pick. You know, the cast is funny. Like you mentioned, I like Captain Boomerang. I'm more or less enjoying their interactions. There's some like banter stuff that misses for me, but there's other stuff. It's like, okay, that was kind of funny. It's just like the world building stuff of like, okay, like I think Metropolis, from what I've seen of it, looks nice and it's pretty dense with detail. I just see, and it's weird how, I mean, not weird because they're going for like a sillier vibe, but it's weird to see like a silly version of this world that we've only seen like a very grim sort of interpretation of with Gotham. And then
weird to see it during the day.
I mean, that too. But even in that opening cutscene with Arkham, you can tell like, okay, they sillied it up because like there's that sign outside of Arkham Asylum that says like it's like Arkham Asylum, and then like a little sign that says any hitchhikers might be escaped inmates. Like, as a
I
warning.
think that was in Arkham Asylum.
That's a long time stay.
Okay,
yeah.
I don't remember that one. Okay, then never mind. It was always there. I gave them too much credit.
No, but the silliness is absolutely. I mean, the opening cutscene is just. Yeah, I think the thing, just not to really focus on Captain Boomerang. I think the thing that really is working about him for me is, right, you're like, some of the banter doesn't work for you, right? Like, it's not all great. But for Captain Boomerang, it doesn't matter because he sucks. So like, if he makes a bad comment, if he makes a stupid joke, you're like, yeah, that's Captain Boomerang. He's an idiot.
It's a classic
and it's
Boomerang.
like, yeah, it's like it's just working for me in that sense. Yeah, the story stuff is like is interesting. I love Arkham Asylum, City and Night, and like to be in that world is like bringing me a long way. Marcus and I both played through the first interaction with Batman.
Yeah, and Green Lantern, I guess. So we've met Green Lantern, Flash, and Batman.
But the Batman stuff stood out to me quite a bit because it's a very cinematic moment, for lack of a better term. I know that's sort of an overused term in video games, but like it literally takes away your abilities for a moment, and you're just trying to run away from Batman in a dark theater, and it's creepy and it's like scary, and it's interesting to be on the other side of Batman after having spent so much time as him in other games, you know, crawling through vents and stuff, and like to play as all 4 criminals trying to get away from him was like a cool moment. And I was like, if we can do stuff like this throughout the whole game, where you're kind of leaning into these characters in a cool way, and it's not all just wave-based shooting scenarios, like I want to see it to the end then, if that's the case.
It's like the stuff when they take you out of that world and they put you in an enclosed environment, basically, and you're like, oh, this is what Rocksteady's good at. This is like, okay, we're going down like
some DC narrative stuff going, you know?
Yeah, like we're in a hallway. Awesome. As weird as that sounds, it's kind of like, oh hell yeah, we're in a corridor. Now we can get into the juicy stuff.
Yeah.
That is the stuff that, like, I agree that Batman sequence is cool. It was a little frustrating. There were some, because you're like dodging his traps, and there were some traps where it's like, I don't know how I can get around this. It feels like I'm supposed to get hit. Yeah, it's like, which was like, I made me think I was doing something wrong, but it's like I literally have no way of disarming or circumventing this. So I guess I'll just
running past it,
run, and then you don't run fast enough. So it's like, I guess I'm just supposed to suck here.
It turns out Batman's not like the world's greatest detective. It's just all the criminals in his world are freaking idiots, and now you are playing as one of them. It's like, I can see the bat gel that you sprayed in the shape of a Batman symbol, you know, that you're going to explode in 5 minutes.
Batman.
I can see it. I can't. I just got to run into it. That's
it's like right in this door opening, and it's like, I have to go that way because the objective marker's on the other side. There's no other way to go. So it's like, and it has a big blast radius, it turns out. Yeah. I mean, it was fun
Great
to see
work
that.
once again, Bruce, he tells himself as he like walks over.
You're a genius.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that stuff's fun, especially the nostalgia angle of like, oh man, I remember when I used to draw these bat. I remember I drew the explosive bat symbols all over the place. This is what it's like to be on the other side of this, huh? And I guess, of course, hearing Kevin Conroy again, you know, warm, fuzzy memories there too. It's like, okay, I know I sound negative, and to an extent I am. But
I'm
again,
not. I feel like I'm trying to talk you out of it. By the way, I'm sorry. Like I don't.
Like it is the open world kind of like, I like the moment action, like getting around and shooting, that I have the biggest issue with, which I guess is the problem that a lot of people have had, or like fears that they've had. Or again, when it's the times where they've like there's a cool sequence in the beginning with Green Lantern where you first see him that I thought was like actually really neat. You know, I was like, that's a cool way to introduce like what happens to this character. And also almost like it was almost like a literal tour of like the current state of Metropolis. Like when that's when you can see Rocksteady, like the best of them come out during those moments where like, okay, they know they can do cinematics, and also just like when they introduce their version of a character and what's happened to them, and like say like, here's what we've done. Let's show you a cool way of like showing off this character. That's when it's like, yeah, that's what I love from this. And then when he's like, all right, now there's like 5 guys on that rooftop. Can you just like go shoot them, please? And then some like really bland music kicks in, and it's like, you know, it's like, like, all right, I'm popping these guys' heads off. And it's also, I haven't found the combat particularly challenging either, which is also why it's a little bit of falling flat for me. And I'm not saying this because I'm good, because I'm still very much getting used to it. Just like, it seems pretty easy, borderline mindless, not quite. Like there's some systems there that are into like I assume this is the case with every character, but I've only used that shot where it's like, if you shoot their legs, you have this move where you can hit R2 and then you can drain their shields and take their shield and add it to your shield. So it's like, oh, if you like basically cripple them, their shields go down and then you can siphon it for them. And you're like, okay, that's an interesting layer of strategy. I haven't really needed to rely on it yet because it hasn't been overly challenging. But I'm seeing like, okay, maybe the game will get harder when it's like, okay, I'm gonna really need to start zoning in on that stuff. But there's like interesting ideas there. I just have to again play more to see how it all evolves over time and gels. It's a bit of a mixed bag for me right now, but again, an hour and a half into what's likely to be like probably like a 20-ish hour game, maybe more than that, is like not a lot. So, you know, we'll see how it gets better. And also we haven't played co-op either. So you know, maybe it's
how those abilities merge together for the different characters and stuff. But it hasn't answered my skepticism going in, right? Because like I
that's the other thing.
I love Rocksteady. Like I think they're among the best, period. Just on the kind of games that I like. And this game still can, and like this first taste is like, this isn't really what I want from Rocksteady, but the Rocksteady stuff is good, you know? It's just like what I fear will make up a large majority of the game, which is the sort of wave-based shooting, is like seems like fine, you know, and I'm worried about it getting tedious over the course of a larger and longer experience.
Yeah, I think that like with the Arkham games, it's like they took Batman and they understood that character so well to where they basically created a brand new form of combat to showcase like what kind of fighter he is and like innovated in the action genre by like as a result. Whereas this game is like, okay, what kind of like creative thing can you do with the Suicide Squad? And so far the answer has been look at every other live service game and put Suicide Squad in it. Like it's not it's like, okay, we looked at Crackdown and Destiny and I don't know, maybe a little bit of Anthem in there too. and said like, what if Suicide Squad was doing this stuff? And that's like less exciting than like that first thrill when you first started fighting in the Arkham games. You're like, oh wow, I've never played anything like this.
Yeah.
This is the opposite. It was like, I've not only played things like this, but I've played better versions of it so far. Yeah. So it's like again, we'll see how it progresses, but yeah, I'm with you, Kyle. Like, it has not dispelled my skepticism, even with some of the cooler stuff that I've seen so far.
Yeah, it's also a pretty game too, worth calling out. I think it looks really good. Yeah. Maybe my last thought is, I don't know if Marcus has more, but I am curious about its comparisons, if it even receives any, to Marvel's Avengers, because I think they're sort of going for the same thing. And I will say, if I'm comparing the two directly, I am way more into this than I ever was Marvel Avengers.
I will co-sign that.
Yeah, okay.
Probably even more of an indictment for Marvel's Avengers.
Yeah, maybe that's more of us just like, crapping on Marvel's Avengers, a game that ostensibly doesn't exist anymore.
It's like, are we saying that Suicide Squad's that good or that Avengers was that bad?
Yeah, right. Totally. So,
but yes, I will say I'm more into this, and I love DC, but I'm more of a Marvel guy anyway. So, but like, I'd rather play the moment-to-moment action in this game than in the Marvel's Avengers. So
yeah,
I don't know if that's an accolade to hang your hat on.
Does that go on the box? Better than a Marvel's Avengers.
It's like, it better be.
What a bar.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Suicide Squad, run, don't walk, out on Friday. I want to play more. I do
want to play more. I will probably finish it just because I want to see the story stuff.
Yes, yeah. I don't want to get into it because it may be potentially spoilery, but we were kind of in an exciting way, I think, having a sort of what does this mean for Arkham Knight discussion before we started, and I'm glad that I'm having that discussion, right? Like, I'm glad that it's that it doesn't completely delete all the Arkham games, which was like another fear of mine.
Well, I mean, Brian wrote in his preview where he played it, where he spoke to the team, he did say that apparently the game does address that ending, like the true ending for Arkham Knight.
Yeah.
So honestly, that's like enough of a carrot on a stick, or it's like, all right, I would like to, because so far when you see it, you're like, I have no idea how this is in the same universe just because of how Batman's presence is represented. We're like, do you remember how Arkham Knight ended?
We were there.
Like, how did we get from this to this? So if there is an explanation, I would really like to see it.
Yeah, I'll play 20 hours of Suicide Squad to learn more about Arkham Knight.
All right. Well, I obviously still want to play it, but you've tempered my expectations in a healthy way, I think.
All right.
I'm excited for Captain Boomerang.
He's pretty good.
He's a contender for biggest dork, I think, already.
You guys ever play Lego Batman 2 DC Superheroes?
No, I've heard it's good.
It's a good if you're 10, really good. Captain Boomerang's in that game, and when you encounter him in the overworld, he says, "Try to get rid of me, I'll come right back."
That's pretty good.
He might be at the top of Wayne Tower, and I think we kept falling off when we were trying to get him. So just over and over again, we would hear, "Try to get rid of me, I'll come right back."
See, like, that's the kind of thing I can almost guarantee he will say in Suicide Squad at some point, and the rest of the squad will be like, "Shut up." And I'm like, yeah, shut up, Captain Boomerang. You suck. I'm playing as you, but you suck.
I'll say it as I'm awkwardly trying to jetpack to the top of the building to meet with him. And I keep calling. Right. But yeah, like I said, I want to play. I would love to get a group, like if the 4 or 3 of us can hop into a thing together, because I want to see this game like at full strength, so to speak, like a full party of 4, and see what that looks like.
I love that, full strength.
Max power.
Yeah, maximum power. Well, speaking of maximum power, talk to me about that wrestling game. WWE 2K24 featuring the Royal Rumble winner, Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare.
Yes.
How is it?
He's only one of the cover stars. And
there's more. I don't know who the others are, though, Marcus.
So he's the cover star of the standard edition.
There's the one girl who was looking down at the Royal Rumble menacingly. She's like the brunette. She a cover star?
Or black hair. Yeah, she's one of the champions right now. Yeah, she's one of the on the deluxe edition. Her name's Rhea Ripley. She shares the cover with Bianca Belair, who is the girl with the long braid.
Oh,
towards the end,
and she like whips people with her braid, right?
She does whip people with her braid.
Yeah,
and it's cool. Very loud. It hurt. It has left welts on women's bodies.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's a fun. It must be a fun gimmick unless you're her opponent. Then you're like, I guess I'm getting whipped tonight.
Okay,
this is gonna suck. So yeah, went to a preview event weekend of the Royal Rumble. Actually, it was the morning of the Royal Rumble. I guess disclosure, 2K did treat us all to the Rumble itself. You know, we all went there afterwards, just to put that out there. It doesn't color my opinion of the game. That's just what they do. They did the same thing last year. But that out of the way, got to sit down and play it. It was a limited demo and had a few superstars and basically just the new modes, including a new showcase, which showcase is like always, I guess, the showcase mode in every game, where it's pretty much like a playable documentary, where like in previous games, it'll either follow the career of one person, like last year was John Cena, and it just let you, it had actually an interesting angle where you played John Cena's biggest losses, like all of the matches that he had like lost in and that were like significant. So you played as his opponents, but like in between those, they had like these live action videos of John Cena in a studio narrating about like the context for each match and why the loss was like significant to him and what he learned from it. And I actually thought that was like a neat way to do it, because usually it's like, I don't know, you live through the superstar's biggest triumphs, right? But he's just like, no, what if you just like beat my ass for a whole game? That'd be cool. This year, since WrestleMania 40 is less than 70 days away, they're celebrating 40 years of WrestleMania. So the matches are just some of the most iconic matches in WrestleMania history. There was only 3 in the build. There was Rick Rude versus Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania 5, and then 2 from last year's WrestleMania, which was WrestleMania 39. It was Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair, which might possibly be the best women's match in WrestleMania history. Absolutely tore the house down last year, so I could see why they added it. And then the main event, Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns for the world title. And the cool thing about those modes is, in the same is true with this year, is that while you're playing the match, you have objectives where it's like historical objectives of like, hey, do this move at this time because that's what happened in the real match. But what's nice is that now, in previous games, they just told you the name of the move, but not how to do it. So if you didn't know how to play, or if you hadn't played in a while, you would see like, hey, do an Irish whip. And you'd be like, what the hell is an Irish whip? What button is that? So you'd have to go into the menu and be like, okay, what's the move list? Like, how do you do that? Now the moves are just displayed under the task. So it's like in parentheses, like, hey, hit X and then down, or it just tells you what to do. So it's like, okay, I don't have to try to decipher what you're asking of me. So that makes it a lot easier. The other cool thing about Showcase that has always existed, it still does the thing where during points in the match, it'll transition to real life footage of the match like seamlessly. So you'll hit like a move, and then you'll just start watching the footage of the match of like what happened after you did the move, and then you'll watch for a bit, and then it'll jump back to the game like at the later point in the match that the live action footage stopped at. That's all still there. It's all still wonderfully produced, as it always has been. So no big changes there. I'm curious to see what the full match list looks like. I do this fun game of like weeding out what can't be there, either like who's not in the company right now that maybe works for a rival company that would normally be here, or who's in trouble right now with like legal things that maybe can't be in this game. Maybe someone's named Bork Laser or something like that, who may have a bit of controversy around them. Anyways, the other, in terms of like a general gameplay thing, they have a new thing called the Trading Blows. So you might have seen this out. I don't know if anyone did it at the Rumble, but like in real wrestling, there's sometimes sequences where dudes will punch each other, like basically take turns punching each other in like a dramatic fashion. So they'll be like, whoa, and then the guy will just take it, and then he'll come back, and they basically, it's like who can hit each other harder until one person is no longer standing.
I've seen the concept.
Yeah, and then the crowd, if it's a good guy and a bad guy, or just someone they like versus someone they don't, they'll chant like "boo, yay!" Like when the person whatever one connects is like "boo, yay, boo, oh, hit again, boo, boo." It's basically managed to make a mini game for that system where everyone, like, you just hold the X button and you fill a meter, and then you have to let go in a red section to execute it, and if you miss it, then you just absorb the incoming blow. And then sometimes you'll get like a sliver of a gold meter, and if you can stop it in there, you'll do like a really hard hit. And then the winner of that sequence will stun the other player, so then that player would pretty much just be rendered helpless, and you can kind of just have your way with them at that point.
Okay.
So I think that's like a fun thing, because that's such a trope in wrestling. I didn't get to do this, but they also added another big trope where you can dive outside the ring on top of a bunch of people waiting to catch you. Which is like the technical term, and in context it's, oh my god, there's like a group of people, and then this superstar goes to the top rope. It's like, oh wait, what are they doing? Oh, they just jumped in a pile of people. But in reality, it's like, why are they all standing there like waiting? It's like they're just waiting to catch him. But you're like, no, suspend your disbelief. There he's jumping on top of this crowd. He's a daredevil. So like there's a whole mini game around that now, which is nice. In terms of the other match types that were available, there was the ambulance match, which is a new addition. And I want to ask you guys, when you hear the name ambulance match, what do you think that entails?
So the loser gets taken away in an ambulance?
Fighting inside of an ambulance.
Ooh,
Two
that's
ambulances fighting.
Yeah,
It's a
like
literal ambulance match.
Transformers style. Yeah.
Yeah, Kyle, you're more or less right. Like,
Two ambulances fighting?
oh no, the first one you said.
I feel like that's like obvious. I wasn't trying to go for the obvious one.
So yeah, like usually the match it's like a no disqualification match where like anything goes. You can use weapons, because the idea is to beat your opponent down so bad that you throw them into an ambulance that is parked outside the ring. Like they drive out a real ambulance, like they back it up against the ring, and then you have to beat them down, because you have to get them weak enough to where they'll allow you to like not only open the doors of the ambulance, but throw them inside, and you have to close the door shut, and then the ambulance will drive them away to presumably the hospital. It's a silly match type, wrestling silly. I don't know if you guys knew that.
I've heard.
I'm picking it up.
Yeah. Sometimes people have fought on top of the ambulance. You could do that in this game too. You could go up there and duke it out, do moves with each other. You can jump off the ambulance, which is nice. Who wouldn't want to do that? I don't think you can drive it, which is sad, because historically in wrestling, wrestlers are for whatever reason capable of operating any type of vehicle or machinery, because there have been numerous instances of wrestlers getting taken out on an ambulance in the beginning of the show, only to come back at the end driving the ambulance that took them away. So the implication is that they stole the ambulance at the hospital, and there's never any consequences for it. Like no one brings up how like that might be a federal crime. I'm like, wait, it's just like, whoa, my God, we thought they were like dead, and now they're back and they're driving the ambulance. And the commentators, he has no problem. But like, wait, is he like wanted right now? Is he a wanted man?
Well, if GTA has taught us anything, if you steal an ambulance and press R3, you just start doing ambulance missions and you're fine.
Yeah, I mean, you joke, but literal Grand Theft Auto is a tradition in wrestling. many cars and vehicles have been stolen, and nobody says anything. Somebody got dropped from a forklift once. Anyway, so that's there. It's fine. It's like a fun little thing. I played with another journalist. Shout out to Matthew from DualShockers. It was like basically back and forth of like you beat each other up, you try to put each other in the ambulance, you're hitting button prompts, and you're pretty much just mashing buttons to fill your respective meter. It's sort of like a strength battle when you're like, I'm closing the door, but then they're inside trying to keep the door from closed, and you're just sort of like in a tug of war until you can do it. You pretty much have to stun them to get them weak enough to do it. It did feel a little one-sided when you were like in the ambulance versus being on the outside of it, because it felt like, because you have to do it twice, where you throw them in there and you're trying to do the initial door battle, and then if you win that, you're like, okay, this is it. But then right when you're closing it, they have like a last second, like they stick their hand through the little sliver, and they're like, no, to get one more chance. And then it feels like the game kind of like favors that player at that point to give them one more chance. And that took some weird figuring out of like, man, where'd you get this like burst of energy suddenly where I'm having a harder time, even though I beat you in the first mini game? So maybe the balancing there is a little wonky. The other mode I play was Backstage Brawl, which has existed. The only really big thing is you can throw weapons now instead of just holding them and beating them up. So pick up a chair and pelt it at somebody. It's always nice.
Tears of the Kingdom inspiration.
Yeah, exactly. Ultra Hand's in this game now. I don't know if you knew that. Just slap, you can glue wrestlers together. But but it's still got a lot of the same. The backstage area is roughly the same as it was in the last game. You know, it's got the big spotlight there. There's like multiple levels of like the backstage area where you can climb ladders and fight up there, and then throw people off of the platform, and they land in a way that should absolutely kill them, but they're fine. Or you can throw them through a spotlight and it explodes, and you're like, yeah, they're dead. But they kick out at 2, so and the match continues. So like that's there. The only other thing there, like there's other match types that are new that aren't available. There's the casket match. Do you guys think you know what a casket match is?
You gotta leave in a casket, or they're brought in caskets.
Oh, you steal a casket and drive it.
Right. Yeah.
I think you probably just leave in a casket, or the Undertaker. The Undertaker does something.
It's 2 vampires. 2 vampires are fighting.
Okay, I like the.
But like Twilight vampires.
Okay, I don't
yeah,
like
moody
anymore.
teenager.
They have
vampires.
like super speed and stuff.
Yeah, God. I guess Alex, you're the closest. Like the idea is that you have a casket, you got to put your opponent in it and close the lid shut. It used to be the Undertaker's match. Like there's never been a casket match that didn't involve the Undertaker because that's kind of his thing, you know. And he would be the one to like challenge people to it, 'cause it's like, oh, this is his match, or what? He has like 3 matches that are basically his. Honestly, there's a buried alive match too. It's not in this game, but he used to bury people alive. But the ironic thing was that he's probably lost more of those than he's won, so he's technically been killed multiple times on the air. 2 times by his own brother. But anyways, that's in the game. Didn't get to play it. The controls. One big step that 2K23 did was trying to make the controls a little bit more arcadey, because the 2K games have always been criticized, especially pre-pandemic, for being a little too dense and just sluggish and slow. And since they've come back, that has gradually gotten better and more sort of like pick up and play friendly. And that's still the case here. I can't tell you how big of a difference. It's like it didn't leap out as dramatically different up from my play session, but I'm sure there's like little nuances here and there that you just have to spend more hours to like mess around with to really see. But I mean, I think the main thing that I'm happy with is like, okay, this doesn't feel like a regression, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
Like it's like they seem to know what worked last year, and they're sort of building upon it with the trading blow stuff and some of the other new mechanics. But is it still a pretty good pick up and play experience? For the most part, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that seems like that should be the goal. Like, I know we joke a lot like about not knowing wrestling, which I really don't. But I mean, the N64 era of wrestling video game is like the king, right? I mean,
it's
going
the
back to those
era.
Going back to those games today might be, you know, kind of tough. But like to try to bring sort of contemporary wrestling games back to that sort of feeling of wrestling games, it seems like it should be the goal. You know?
I mean, AEW tried that last year with their first wrestling game. Like that was literally the pitch was, we're going to make No Mercy again, to the point where they even got the original producer for those games on like as a consultant or whatever. I don't know what his role was in that game, but he was there. He helped.
Yeah. He responded to some emails. He went out to some lunches.
Yeah. And like they got mostly there. Like the gameplay of that game is definitely very much in that vein and is definitely more arcadey, but like everything else around it was like a disaster, just the overall package and the presentation. But like, which made the game kind of sad. It's like, okay, you got something here, like the foundation. Everything else just has to catch up to it. And it's great to have that alternative to the 2K games out there, especially from another major wrestling company, because it's really only WWE that has well, I guess AEW now too, but traditionally WWE is the only company big enough and with enough money to get a wrestling game, let alone a yearly one. That isn't some like Fire Pro Wrestling, which is a Japanese thing, and that's like, you know, it's not a licensed company, that's just their wrestling game, you know.
Sure.
So yeah, but yeah, I had fun with it. It was I'm curious to see who else fills out that roster. You know, I didn't have access to the full roster, of course, but I'll have hands-on impressions and an NGT going up Thursday with all my captured footage. So you'll see some of this goodness. You guys can witness the ambulance match for yourself. Like I could tell you're like salivating to see someone get thrown into an ambulance.
I'm gonna go into an ambulance if I don't see this thing.
It makes you want to become a wrestler, because then you'll automatically acquire the skill to hijack and drive an ambulance.
Alex, what does that mean?
And I
yeah, what does that mean?
I want to drive ambulances. So I guess I got to become a wrestler to do that. Certainly not a paramedic.
Volunteer EMT kind of deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you steal the ambulance at the end.
WWEMT.
WWEMT.
I love
There we
it.
go. We got
There
there.
we go. You almost
The
got it.
EMT they call the
EST.
I have ESP. What?
Sorry, Bianca Belair's nickname is the EST, so it sounded
The
the
East
same.
Stern Standard Time.
Well, the idea is that it's actually pretty clever, actually, where she's the greatest, the fastest, the strongest, and all of those words end in EST. So basically, any positive description that ends in EST, that's what she is. But she just calls herself the EST of WWE.
You know what word also rhymes in EST?
What?
Incest. So maybe not.
What just happened?
That was so out of nowhere.
Maybe a joke
right?
we should cut. I don't know.
No, keep it double. You got to keep it.
I'm just saying, if you're gonna claim EST,
Oh my god!
You gotta claim the bad ones,
You
too.
know, I saw Bianca Belair at the 2K event, and if I'd have known, if you had said that before, I would have approached her and said,
I'm
my
curious.
coworkers is one of the ESTs that
are you a fan of 12 minutes?
and I'm sure she would
Okay, that one got me apparently. Okay.
yeah, I'm sure she would have choked me out with her braid as soon as I said it.
She would have whipped you. Yeah,
I'd be dead.
the hair whip thing. I was
Also,
waiting for that
weirdly-
like all night, by the way, because everyone was like, "Yeah, wait
she didn't do it.
till she whips people with her hair." I'm like, "All right,
Oh yeah, she did do it.
I'm waiting to see." They're like, "Oh, now like what?
They built it up.
The red-haired
for you?
lady with the red eyeshadow came out. Becky Lynch.
Oh, Becky Lynch.
Becky Lynch came out, or I think she was still in there. They're like, "Oh, she's gonna whip her now with the hair," and I was like, "All right."
Is this Dan saying this? Because it sounds like you're doing
was
a Dan
gonna say also
imitation.
It was a couple of his friends, and I was like, "I'm ready," and then it never happened.
Okay. Was that one of the betting choices? Was will Bianca Belair whip somebody?
No,
$200.
No, but it was really funny. There's one guy who was like he was like striking people like a viper or something, a venom or something. He was like
Come on, Randy Orton.
yeah.
He's the RKO.
I thought it was really funny.
His nickname's the Viper.
The Viper. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
So
was-
it was like an RKO.
we were
thing.
talking
That's
about because
funny.
they're like the apex predator, the viper, and we're like, there's actually lots of a ferret could eat a viper, like a mongoose.
Don't kill the gimmick, Alex. It sounds cool. Don't you want to be called the Viper?
You know who would beat a viper? A human person.
Yeah, a hawk.
I don't think the nickname the Human is a good one.
Human person. That's just the Greendale mascot from Community.
There you go.
The Human, Randy Orton.
So if the Greendale community mascot jumped out on a wrestling stage, that would be pretty terrifying. To be fair,
It would be terrifying. He would lose so fast.
God. You need to go look up a Bianca Belair hair whipping compilation on YouTube if you want to see some sick whips.
I do
Is it
actually.
set- is
I'm
it set to
legitimately going to
Willow's-
do that.
They're pretty sick. It's funny because the joke in wrestling is that you can't use a weapon, right?
Yeah.
You get DQ'd. But because it's her hair, it's like the ref can't DQ her because it's part of her body. So it's like it's not a foreign object technically. So the ref always kind of like is like when it happens.
Oh
he's
my
like,
God, I'm watching right now.
I technically can't do anything about this, even though it should be cheating. But it's like no one has ever done that.
Dude,
so like,
she's
it's
going in on this lady.
It's loud.
Yeah.
You see the welts on them afterwards. Like
Yeah.
I said, when you sign up to fighter, you're like, well, I guess I'm taking this tonight. This is gonna suck.
That's awesome. Love
Yeah,
that.
but yeah, excited to play 2K24. Comes out March 8th, though I think it's like March 5th if you get the Jumbo Super Editions, WrestleMania, whatever. I think it's just deluxe edition, and I think it's called 40 Years to WrestleMania, which is like the $120 edition that comes with like 50 different things in it. I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, also shout out to Cody Rhodes. Got to interview him there.
I
got an
read your
interview on the
feature
site.
with him. That was cool.
We just talked about video games. He's a giant gaming guy. For those that didn't know, and love Kyle, you would love Cody Rhodes because he's a Zelda nerd like to the 8th degree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read some of that piece. Yeah, and that stood out to me. It's like he had legitimate thoughts about Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, because sometimes celebrity interviews will be like, "Oh, what's your favorite Zelda?" and they'll be like, "Oh, All of them. I love Zelda.
Yeah.
I just don't want to say
How
anything
can I
negative.
pick a favorite? I mean,
But Cody Rhodes is like, all right, I've been playing Tears of the Kingdom, and here are some of the strategies I've been implementing.
yeah. And then I went down to the
All right,
depths. When he mentioned the depths, I was like, okay, yeah, you.
Oh, you played it.
You played it.
Yeah, he said Lionel's by name.
Lionel's, yeah. I was like, okay, yeah, you got it.
Oh yeah, this guy, he's legit.
The dude
Yeah.
used to wear Triforce on his boots back when he was a rookie. Okay.
That's
That
cool.
probably got him hell from all the
He's legit.
grizzled veterans in
Should
the
I-
back of like.
Should I be a Cody Rhodes fan? Like, should
He's
I get
main
into
eventing
wrestling?
WrestleMania again this year. He's gonna finish the story. Just saying, he's gonna finally win the big one.
He's gonna reveal the timeline.
I'm actually, when he
I'd like to know
walked
Cody's
out,
thoughts on the timeline. Actually,
when Cody walked out, I was like, this guy sucks. I don't like him already. Well, I didn't know anything about him. I just saw his look, and I was like, he looks like a villain. And his thing was
because he's got like a Homelander kind of look. To him.
yeah, and his thing was called the American Nightmare. I was like, this guy sucks.
It does sound like. I mean, it was initially a villain thing that he made up
Yeah.
while he was in Japan.
Yeah, but then like I watched his story throughout the night, and then I watched this press conference after, and I was like, I think I like this guy. And then I read your piece with him, and I was like, okay, I do like this guy.
Yeah.
You know what I recommend?
Real meat
Peacock.
cute.
Peacock has a great documentary about him that they released a few months ago about his career and his road back to WWE and the American Nightmare stuff. Great documentary, even if you're not a wrestling fan, just the inspirational story behind it. Go watch it.
Hell yeah.
Pretty good.
Awesome. Well, Marcus, you got to get out of here, right?
Yeah, I gotta go be sick.
Hell
All
yeah.
right.
I got that penciled into my schedule. Go be sick
Yeah.
somewhere.
Go take a nap.
Actually,
Word.
I think I am gonna take a nap.
Do it.
Well, feel better, bud. Thanks for coming on the show and sticking with us through all of our inside baseball Apex talk. And feel better.
Yeah.
Bye guys.
All right.
See ya.
Bye, Marcus. And we are back to the final three, the last that remain, the three amigos, the three friends, the musketeers, the fellas, Charles Hart, Kyle Hilliard.
Fellas.
We're going to talk about Persona 3 Reload, and then we're going to get into Mario versus Donkey Kong, and then we're going to get out of here. Persona 3 Reload. Do you have either of you have any history with the Persona series or with Persona 3 itself?
I have played all the way through. I've played about 200 hours of Persona 5. Meaning
Okay.
I played through the base game once, and then I got 80 hours into Royal, but I never beat Royal. And it's wild you can spend.
Can you call yourself a fan?
I know it's so much time, and I don't even know what non-mechanical stuff they added to Royal really. But I'm a fan of that game. That's like what I know.
Yeah. How about you, Kyle?
My wife and by extension my daughter are big Persona fans. Many a night have I fallen asleep to the soundtrack of Persona while my wife stays up late playing. But 3 is one that I don't think she ever finished that one, so I never saw a ton of it. But I've always been interested in it. It's always the one for the folks who have played 3, 4, and 5. I hear often 3 is my favorite. Just because it was sort of 1 and 2 felt like Shin Megami Tensei spin-offs. Persona 3 still had Shin Megami Tensei in its title when it originally released, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong about that. But that's where things started to diverge and Persona really came into itself. And I was always, the sort of visual kind of idea of shooting yourself in the head to sort of unleash your persona is just a really visually sort of compelling thing that is hard not to be sort of like, what is happening there?
Yeah.
What is that thing? And for that reason, 3 has always been the one that I've been the most interested in. And though I may not succeed in this goal, my plan for this year was for Persona 3 Reload to be my first Persona that I play.
Ooh.
I'm trying to finish Like a Dragon, and then my plan is to roll right into Persona 3 Reload, and then roll right into Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. It's going to go smoothly. I'm not going to see any hurdles. None of those are going to fall off. I'm going to play those 3 back to back, while also playing
Easy.
Suicide Squad and finishing Prince of Persia. 2024 is going great. It's perfect.
Well, good luck with that.
Thank you.
My history with Persona, I have always wanted to really dive into one. I had a Vita, and I bought a Vita to play Golden, right before the pandemic, or the year before, something like that. And I played like the first dungeon, like the first like main story arc, and like beat that and like had a lot of fun, and kind of just fell off. I believe COVID hit shortly after that, if I'm remembering right. And Persona 5 came out. I saw a lot of people really raving about it, and I haven't gotten to it. Because I've been waiting to like, I don't know what I've been waiting for. I think by the time I was ready to play it, I was like, well, Persona 3 Reload's coming out soon, and I'll probably have to cover that for work in some way, so I should just wait. But I have been playing Persona 3 Reload, and I'm probably 6 hours in. I'm like level 11 or 12.
Okay.
I've made it
progress.
Yeah, I've made it like 20 floors into Tartarus, and really enjoying the game. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I mean, for those who are unaware, it is, a remake of like an 18-year-old game redone in the Persona 5 style, that engine. And there's been a lot of improvements, obviously, in those 18 years. But yeah, I'm liking it so far. It reminds me of Persona 4 in that, like, from what I hear, like, I was wanting, so Persona 5, they do like the handcrafted dungeons, which I hear is really cool.
Yeah.
And I haven't experienced that yet. And I was hoping maybe we would get that in Reload, but it's kind of like that, the same thing how it was in Persona 4 Golden, where like, you've got like this procedurally generated dungeon with the same types of enemies throughout it.
Which is a little bit of a turnoff for me. It does scare me away a little bit.
The one caveat I'd say to that, Kyle, is the game puts up like fence posts, so it's like you can't get past a certain point, like until like a certain day comes, which is kind of, I like that's a part of it, because I don't just feel like I'm plowing away infinity for no reason. It's that I plow away for like a few hours, and it's like, okay, you're done. You can't do this anymore. You have 3 weeks to do other social stuff. And I'm like, all right, I'll go figure that out. So I do at least like that it breaks it in those chunks and stuff. I mentioned also, I'm like 28 hours in.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, how about you lead this conversation, Charles?
Sure.
Yeah. You basically beat it at this point.
No.
Or gone through the tutorial.
What are you, like 10%?
I don't know percent wise, but it's really weird to see to play 28 hours of a game and then to watch like a video review of it, be like, I have no idea who that character is. I have not even I know this character is like on the promo art. I've gone so far I don't even know. Yeah, I mean, so the premise of the game is your main character moves to a new town, and as you get there, like the sky is green and there's a bunch of coffins around. You don't really know what's going on. Find out that there is a 25th hour in the day that happens at the stroke of midnight called the dark hour. And in that hour, the world becomes this like new kind of evil place. And most people are trapped in these coffins and they don't remember that hour at all. They're unaware it exists. Some people have like the potential to break out. And there's also shadows, which are like monsters that will attack people that are out. If you have the potential to be out, then I think all of them or most of them, I don't know. You can summon a persona, which is like a, magical manifestation of your true inner self. And they can do magic. And they all have like, I think all the personas are named after like mythological gods and stuff, or creatures or characters from mythology. It's like your first one is the main character. You get Orpheus, which is from Greek mythology. But yeah, and then the other part of the game when you're not in the dark hour fighting shadows, going through Tartarus, which is the name of that like endless dungeon.
Yeah, the giant tower.
Yeah.
Which, Charles, does it ever change from like that green-hued hallway?
Yes.
Okay.
But for me, 28 hours in, it's changed once. So now it's purple, and it's been purple for most of the time I've played.
Okay.
so I don't know if it's going to change again. I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, and then the rest of the
like
time, do I like it?
Yeah.
I'm not crazy about it. One thing I've been trying to do with this game is take it out its own terms and not just compare it to Persona 5 Royal, because it does take a lot of improvements from that game, but also it did come earlier, so there's some things that you just wouldn't slot in or that they chose not to. A big thing for me that is like I'm missing is Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royal. When you hang out with someone, you have like a social link, and every time you spend time together, it'll like level up, and that's good for your personas of a certain type. But in Persona 5, you also get like combat abilities and stuff of like, if you get really high with the doctor, then you can unlock new healing things to do. Or if you spend time with this character, then they get like a stat boost. And in Persona 3, there's none of that, at least as far as I've gotten. I've gotten up to like level 6, where like you can spend time with them, and when you fuse personas, they'll get more experience, and that's good. But it's not as like immediately rewarding in the same way. So it's interesting.
That's a big hook of 5, and coincidentally, Like a Dragon as well. Funnily enough, that it's like
interesting.
You spend time with people, and then that makes them stronger in combat and stuff like that. Like you see their stats raise and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
they can do new moves.
Well, and in Persona 5 also, all your first social links are like the people in your party. In Persona 3, I don't have any social links with the people in my party. They're like collectively the fool, and then everyone else I'm hanging out with is just like someone from school or a random girl you find on the street or an old couple at a bookstore. It's fun. It's still fun. It's still fun, good stuff. Anyways, to answer your question about Tartarus, I don't like it as much. It clearly feels like the thing that sticks out the most that like hasn't aged well. And in Persona 5, there's all these like manifestations of the psyche, and it's like, this is a museum, and this is a cruise ship, and it's all this really cool stuff. And I am missing that. But they added a shift mechanic into the combat, which is kind of like
Baton
Baton
Pass.
Pass.
In Persona 5?
Baton Pass is what it's called in Persona 5, and it's a little bit different.
Because I do like that ability.
Yes, it's like crucial to me. Like I can't imagine playing this game without it. What it does when you hit an enemy's weak point or you do a crit on them, you can swap your turn from your character to another character in your party, and you can basically like chain weaknesses or crits, and then knock all the foes down. If that's not an option, you just have to go one by one, and hope you can get all them down before they get back up. But yeah,
I do like that kind of juggling of enemies. It feels really good when you chain them together and then do the all-out attack once you've stunned them all. Like that always feels really good. I am sitting here wondering though, should I just be playing Persona 5 Royal if I've never played it?
So here's the other thing I'll say about 5 versus 3. In 5, I feel like from the get-go, you have very clear motivations. Like it's very understandable why you're doing what you're doing. You have very clear goals. It's segmented into these like episodes or arcs where you like, I have a goal, I have an antagonist, I know what I'm doing here. Persona 3, I'm 28 hours in. I'm in late July. You start in April, I'm in late July. I kind of have the vague goal of like, I know I'm supposed to be defeating shadows, but even the characters at this point are like, why have you been stringing us along? What are we doing all this time? And I do miss having that like, this is what it's for.
Okay, because I feel like I'm currently missing that, and I've been waiting for when that's going to happen.
You just gotta kind of
not
vibe.
for a while.
Yeah. I looked up someone, I think I was looking up rankings of the series just because I was curious, and someone said, I saw one person say the story doesn't really get interesting till July. I saw someone else say it doesn't really get interesting till September. I was like, I'm like 30 hours in, and I don't dislike it. Like it's enjoyable.
That's always the scary thing, right? If like someone's like, this game's really good once you hit the 25-hour mark.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
That's like 2 full games that I could be playing.
Yeah.
You know? But, you know, when it gets good, is my understanding.
And I've seen people say, like, hands down, they think this is the best. I've seen several people say the ending of this game is the best. So I'm kind of holding out hope. I also just met the character I'd seen, I think, a lot of art of that I just knew about. So I was excited to, like, meet her and be like, maybe this is the thing that's going to really tie it together. But But I think it's still a good game. I think if you're honestly, I would say if you're trying to get into the series, I would start with Persona 5 Royal.
Because it's kind of whet my appetite for this format, but I'm like, these. I think like having like handcrafted dungeons with like really cool themes would do a lot for me. So I don't know. It's at least done its job in like I want to play this series, and like I have found an appreciation for this older game. Now it's more like, do I go for like this one, or I mean, do I go for 5 Royal, which I've heard so many great things about.
I would say,
and I think if I peel myself away from like wanting to be in the zeitgeist of this conversation about this game,
definitely
the answer is Persona 5 is what I want to play.
Yeah.
Based on what I've heard about it. So
I think Persona 3 Reload is for people that liked the first game, or people that played like Persona 5 and want more Persona, and now this is like the most accessible new entry.
Yeah.
I think if you're just getting into the series, I think it's hard to not say just play Persona 5 Royal.
Okay. Yeah, I think you've
Make your
convinced me,
decision,
Charles.
Alex.
Yeah,
You're gonna throw away
honestly,
those 6 hours. You're just gonna toss them into the trash.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's like a drop in the well, apparently.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Drop in the bucket.
Poor Brian who did this review. But so
shout out
much
to
time
Brian.
on it. Yeah.
80 something hours, I think.
think he
1
said,
o'clock in the
yeah.
morning, he sent a Slack message that was like a picture of his TV with credits, and he's like, "I did it."
Yeah, that's brutal.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, anything else before you want to move on to talk about Mario vs. Donkey Kong, Charles?
No, I guess the one thing I will say, I feel like I don't mean to be negative on this game, because I think it's a very good game and I think it's very fun. I think the thing to keep in mind in terms of like me talking about looking for a character motivation is I often have like the end point in mind when I'm looking at a story. I'm like, where is this all going? This is very much a game where it's like, it's May and you're in high school, just like sit and hang out with people and like get used to it and just kind of like strap in for a road trip, like just be in for the long haul.
Yeah.
I think if you're in that
Slice
mindset,
of life, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
it's an anime genre, I guess, every kind of media genre, but slice of life is very popular. Like, just exists with these characters that you like, you know.
Yeah.
And you're saying 3 feels a little bit closer to that, I guess, huh?
I don't even. I think 5 is. I think 5 is better at that than this is even. Lots of people disagree with me though, so that you know that's just my opinion. But I think it's easier to sit in this game if you accept it as slice of life and you aren't just looking for like action-packed RPG the whole game all the way through.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, that's my 2 cents.
You did it.
Cool. Well, take us through Mario vs. Donkey Kong.
Oh yeah, I played that too.
Have you
if
both
guys
played that or just you, Charles?
Oh, just Charles. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Take us through.
The remake specifically, which
Yeah. Yep.
when it was announced, I thought it was a new Mario versus Donkey Kong game. I didn't realize it was a proper remake.
Yeah. Have you guys played this series? I had not played any games in this series before.
I mean, I played like
one of the
the
DS ones.
old school arcade game. Like,
Okay. Yeah.
That's a different game though.
it is. Yeah.
This is a puzzle game. Right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm like speaking
Well,
for you, Charles. You're the one who's played the game.
I have. So I didn't know this, and maybe this is common knowledge, but if you're my age or younger, maybe you didn't know this. Mario vs. Donkey Kong is basically a continuation of the legacy of the original 1981 Donkey Kong arcade cabinet. There's Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong Jr.,
yeah.
all those. Then there was a version that came to the Game Boy, which added a bunch of levels and stuff. And this is
I've
basically
got next to me.
Oh.
Over here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait.
Now, to be clear, I'm talking about Donkey Kong for the game.
No, I don't have that. I don't have that.
Okay.
Which was
Donkey
like,
Kong-
yeah. You thought it was just a port of the arcade game on Game Boy. Oh, isn't this fun? But it's a lot more than that, actually.
Yeah.
Like it was the first time Mario could do a triple jump.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. It was like it predated Mario 64 and stuff like that.
Which is wild. And then Mario versus Donkey Kong is kind of like taking that idea and pulling it into a new series, but kind of like preserving that idea of like Mario and Donkey Kong as rivals, which is not really a dynamic you see like outside of this series. They're just kind of kart racing together. I guess unless you're watching the Super Mario Brothers movie, but
Yeah.
But yeah, this game, I mean, it's pretty simple gameplay wise. The plot is weird. The plot is Donkey Kong is sitting on his couch at home. He sees an ad for a Mario toy on TV. He says, I gotta have that. Runs out to the store. They are out of the toy.
Somehow this plot is also the plot of WarioWare, which is weird.
They're out of the toy. Donkey Kong breaks into the factory where they make these toys, steals like 100 of them, and then just runs away with Mario in pursuit. Now, why Donkey Kong didn't just take one? Why he didn't go to a different store? They were clearly still making them. They were just out of stock at one store. Whatever it is, this ape's on a rampage, and Mario's got to stop him. So every level has like 2 parts. There's the first part where you're trying to get, you're going to carry a key to a door. And you're going to lock the door and then get into the final area, which is where the toy is that you're trying to get. And it's this like side-scrolling, very like small, short levels. And yeah, I kind of had written this off as like, I think I said it in a meeting and someone like wrote down the quote I said, and I was like, oh, that came off meaner as I intended. I think I said it was an old, boring game old people play.
And you looked me in the eye while you said it, which I thought was rude.
Kyle, yeah. But it's a lot more engaging than I thought it would be. It does a thing I think is really rare and important in puzzle games where even when it's not hard, it's engaging and like fun. Like even if I can look at the screen and be like, this is how I do it, it is still for some reason enjoyable for me to go through all the steps to solve that puzzle. And one of the ways Kyle mentioned earlier, jumping. There's so many jumps in this game that I think I just thought there was one jump and you were just kind of piloting Mario around, but there's a lot of like platforming involved. You can do kind of like his change direction backflip. If you hold down and jump, you go into a handstand, and then stuff falling from the sky can't hurt you. And then from that, you can do a jump and then jump again into like a really high jump. And in the first like early chunks of levels, you don't really ever need to do that. But if you do, you can like skip a bunch of stuff, and it feels really cool to feel like you are like outsmarting the level design of like, I'm going to skip these spikes and go up to this platform early because I remember the tutorial jumps.
Because I paid attention.
Yeah. And yeah, I played the first 4 worlds. I just had a really good time with it. And it went from a thing I was like, oh, sure, I'll give this a shot, to something I'm like actively excited for. Like, I think this would be on my top 10 this year, probably.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Dang, that's awesome.
I just told you all the stuff I have to play. Why are you doing this to me, man? I got to play Like a Dragon, Persona.
The nice thing about this
is and now Mario versus Donkey Kong. Come on.
It's pretty quick.
Okay.
Like I finished those 4 worlds in like 2 sittings of like maybe like 2 hours total.
Okay.
So it's not like, I don't know. And I think the website said there's 8 worlds. And they've also added new stuff. They add like, I think time attack mode is new. There is I don't know. And the other thing is I don't have all the context for what was in the original game 100%. Sure, yeah. But I think something this game and Persona 3 Reload do very well is like integrating stuff into the main game well enough that like I didn't even know they were new. Like it. So they added 2 worlds. One of the worlds they added is World 4. So I played one of the new worlds, but they didn't just stick them onto the end. They kind of sprinkled them into the 6 that were already there.
Okay.
That's cool.
And it's got like flowers, and if you step on like the colored switch, it turns into a fan that can like blow you around and blow the key around. Yeah, good game. Word. Charles recommends.
Cool. I think it said
from what I played
next month, February, something like that. It's coming, I think
16th, I believe.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I am excited for that one. I've had a pretty good rhythm going of like I've been focused on Like a Dragon, which is a long haul. But then on my handheld, I've been playing Prince of Persia. I've been playing that on Switch, which has been sort of a nice like back and forth. So like maybe what I'd like to do is like once I'm done with Lost Crown, like maybe Mario vs. Donkey Kong becomes, you know, the handheld game.
Yeah.
I'm excited to check this out because I was familiar with the Game Boy Advance one. I saw it. I think I might have played like a level or something like that. I like puzzle games. I just never finished it or played it extensively. So this is a nice excuse to revisit that game that sort of passed me by.
I did just remember another like super important thing they added. There's a new kind of like a difficulty setting called casual mode. And I really like it. Basically what it does is it puts little checkpoint flags in the levels. And normally when you get hit once, you die and then the level resets. And in like early stages, that's not that big of a deal. You can just run it back and do stuff. Just like what you did before. In some like later stages, like especially when there's bombs and you have to like wait for them to walk around and grab them and wait for them to explode, like dying can be like, oh, I am very annoyed right now. I have to go all the way back to the start of this thing. Just the casual mode, just the ability when you get hit instead, you just bubble real quick and fly back to the flag. And you just have like a certain number of those lives. It does a really good job of making it like less frustrating, and it is easier, but it doesn't make the puzzles easier. It just makes the punishment less severe.
Okay.
So there were like times where I would be like, I'm just going to activate casual mode right now because this is kind of, I just keep dying a lot and I don't feel like resetting. And you just go in the menu and you turn it on and then it like restarts stuff. And now you just have like checkpoint flags. It also gets rid of the timer too. So if you spend a really long time trying to figure out what to do, and do that. And I kind of written it off as like, it's just going to make the game too easy. Or I feel like that's a complaint about some Nintendo games nowadays is they've just all become like very, very easy. And I think this is a really good, like accessible solution of like, there's just no timer. And if you die, you kind of float backwards, but it's not, it makes the whole puzzle, can you solve it? And not, can you platform your way through this difficult area?
Yeah.
The core fun is still retained, right?
Yes, absolutely.
That's smart. Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
Word. I can't wait to play this. I'm excited to hear your full review thoughts once it comes out. But well, I think that's gonna be it for this episode.
We did it.
We made it. It was a long one, but it was a fun one.
Yeah, it's good.
I want to just give a quick shout out to our podcast editor, Matt Storm. Be sure to go and follow them over on their podcast, Fun and Games. You can also follow them on social media at DJ_Stormageddon. And while you're over there, follow our crew. Follow Charles here at ChuckDuck365. Follow Kyle at Kyle M. Hilliard. You can follow me at It's Van Aken. Follow Marcus at Marcus Stewart 7. And of course, go follow Jay at Jason_Guisao. And while you're over there, go to your URL in the top of your browser and type in twitch.tv/Game Informer. Go follow us there. We stream replay 2 p.m. on Fridays, 2 p.m. Central, that is. And then go back up to your URL, type in youtube.com/Game Informer. New tab, yeah, Control T, youtube.com/Game Informer. Make sure that you're subscribed there because we've got a lot of Apex cover stories and video reviews for a lot of games we're talking about going up in the coming days and weeks. So yeah, do that for me. And then finally, go to your browser, type in GameInformer.com.
Third tab.
GameInformer.com/podcasts. And go listen to All Things Nintendo, which is our other weekly podcast about Nintendo, hosted by Brian Shea. And then after that, you can hit the X.
Okay.
Your job is fulfilled.
I was gonna say you could go to www.gameinformer.com/product/Apex-Legends and then open up the product page for Apex Legends, where we'll have a link to the cover story. I don't know what that URL would be.
You could just go to gameinformer.com/Apex-Legends for the cover story.
Are we that efficient now?
Yeah.
Is it Apex-Legends or is it one word?
It's /Apex-Legends, man.
We don't
What do you
mess
think
with
this is?
hyphens. Get out of here.
Yeah, this is WordPress. Get out of here.
Okay.
WordPress.
No shit on WordPress. I used to use WordPress all the time. I personally use Squarespace a lot. If you're looking for a sponsorship opportunity,
Squarespace is listening.
But we don't use Squarespace at Game Informer. We have production wizards, engineer wizards,
Miss Margaret Andrews,
programmers. Yeah. That's going to do it for the show this week, everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next Thursday. Have a good week. Goodbye.
See ya.